Ingmar Bergman doesn't ease us into persona. We are met with a cacophony of sounds and images. Yet despite this, it is one of the most loved foreign language films of all time. Barely a week goes by without someone pulling it out of the Criterion closet. It is one of the few art house films whose style and aesthetic has permeated culture more broadly. There was a time in the 2010s where every other profile picture evoked this shot in persona. There are many things that can be said about Ingmar Bergman. He was an extraordinary filmmaker and a less brilliant person. There's a strong argument to be made that Bergman made more truly great films than any other director. In addition to persona, Bergman also made classics like The Seventh Seal, Wild Strawberries, Cries and Whispers, Scenes from a Marriage, and Fanny and Alexander. Persona represents both a thematic and stylistic shift in Bergman's career. Its style is more striking and experimental than anything he had previously made. It also saw him move away from grand ideas of life, death, and religion, and towards more psychological and personal issues of identity, human relationships, family, and isolation. This is the second film Bergman made after his Faith trilogy. Bergman was brought up in a strict Lutheran household. With Through the Glass Darkly, Winter Light, and The Silence, Bergman questions the existence of God and examines the existential crisis it creates. In the second half of Bergman's career, he ponders a simple question: if God is dead, how do we find meaning and relate to the world? Bergman's answer to this question is through human feeling and connection, however hard that might sometimes be. Persona, perhaps more than any other Bergman film, is rich with striking philosophical insight. It is about an actor, Elisabeth, played by Liv Ullmann, who has stopped speaking, and the nurse Alma, played by Bibi Andersson, who looks after her. They decamp to a secluded coastal cottage where the drama plays out. Where other European directors at this time examined the fractured nature of post-war society, Bergman examines the fractured nature of the human psyche. The atrocities of the 20th century raise deep psychological inquiries. News footage of the Vietnam War plays on a hospital television, and later we see a photo of the Warsaw Ghetto. Persona makes us wonder how individuals can commit such crimes, and how we are meant to live normal lives knowing that they have taken place. While Bergman isn't an overtly political filmmaker in the way that someone like Jean-Luc Godard was, he did reflect the times he lived in. Persona is a film that makes you aware that it is a construct. Shots of film reels and cameras bookend the film. Persona came out in 1966 at the peak of the Deconstructionist movement, which looked to show that everything was a construct and show what systems of belief and philosophy were built upon. The shot of the boy touching the screen early in the film could well be an acknowledgement from Bergman that this is a film from his male perspective and the limitations that accompany this. It almost feels like he is admitting that he is only able to scratch the surface of the female psyche or persona. It's an admission that allows persona to become a commentary on how men view women, perhaps best seen in the scene where Alma tells sexual stories to Elisabeth. The Bergman close-up is one of the iconic images of world cinema and is essential to understanding persona. Faces in art are masks and the emotions on display are to some extent manufactured. At the same time, there is such beauty to Bergman's close-ups that it feels like the artifice of performance has been broken. It raises the question, can art transcend its artifice and offer true insight into life and the human mind and soul? At one point, the fabric of the film breaks down and the characters show their angry, primordial states. Alma's character changes dramatically. She goes from being a helpful, doting carer to paranoid and mean-spirited. Is this a representation of what human nature is truly like, or is it just another layer of deception? We cannot truly know what other people think and feel, and because of this we are isolated in our bodies and minds. At the same time as the film progresses, Alma and Elisabeth begin to overlap. Late in the film, Elisabeth's husband comes to visit. He mistakes Alma for Elisabeth. Alma initially objects, but ends up pretending to be Elisabeth. It raises questions about identity and how we see ourselves. Our sense of self is not always unified. We can long for a glamorous, successful version of ourselves while resenting our more humble being. This can be seen in the juxtaposition between Elizabeth and Alma. Elizabeth is a glamorous actor, Alma is a humble nurse. The way we present ourselves to the world is often a performance. Whether this performance is merely a persona or a reflection of who we truly are depends on how we envisage identity. Some see these performances as false, while others see them as a reflection of our inner wants and desires. Identities are not just fragmented in persona, but seen through the lens of performance. Elizabeth's silence is performative, something her doctor makes clear early in the film. It makes us wonder, can we transcend appearances and present our true selves? If this is the case, persona asks another question. Should we embrace our true selves or hide the cruel and ugly parts of our nature? The brilliance of persona is that it is able to present these deep philosophical questions in an emotionally potent and poetic way. Bergman is a filmmaker with a brilliant sense of drama. In The Seventh Seal, he famously makes death a character and has him play chess against a medieval knight. As much as persona can be analysed, few films have had more written about them. I personally think its enduring appeal is on an experiential level. It is a film of rare intensity and poetic beauty. Discussing persona can feel reductive, because it is almost impossible to describe how the film makes you feel. For all persona's intellectual depth, it is a film that speaks to the human heart and soul.